Welcome and karibuni to Aroma of Zanzibar. Today we are going to be making Medovik, which is Russian honey cake. So I'm going to start by melting my butter. I've got half a cup of butter, which is about 100 grams, and I'm using salted butter, but if you have unsalted, that's much better. And I'm going to melt this in a microwave, but you can use a saucepan to melt your butter as well. So over here, I've got 3 eggs, which are room temperature, and I added about 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, but you can use brown sugar, that will work well as well. And we're just gonna mix this well. Basically, I'm trying to get to dissolve the sugar as much as I can. And then I add my melted butter, which is pretty hot, but not hot enough to cook the eggs. We don't want to cook the eggs, so the hot butter will help the sugar to dissolve much faster. And then we add the honey, which is about 4 tablespoons. You can do less if you want to, but this is a honey cake, so it has to taste like honey. All right. And then I also added about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to mix it well. And then to that, I added about 1 teaspoon of baking soda. That's going to help our dough become extra soft. And then we're going to mix that well, and then we're going to start adding the flour. So I've got about 3.5 cups of flour. That's about 437 grams. And we're going to add little at a time. There's no specific measurements. And so you're going to fold and mix until you finish all the flour. Now, there's so many variations of this recipe, but I like this style because I find it much simpler than the other recipes. That's my opinion. So we're just gonna keep adding the flour. Did I say I'm using all-purpose flour? If I didn't, so I'm using all-purpose flour. All right. So we're just gonna keep mixing. And this dough is gonna be very, very soft, okay? So at this point, you wanna shift to a flat surface. And on that, I have dusted my surface with 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. This is extra. This is addition to the 3.5 that I have used. All right. And you can use less, but I prefer to keep it this way as a standard measurement. So we're just going to fold and knead as gently as we can. Like I said, this is a very, very soft dough. And once that's done, you're just going to make it into whatever shape you want. And we're going to divide this into 8 equal parts or portions. So I'm just going to roll this and shape them into a ball. Keep them aside. Then once that's done, make sure that you cover them so that they do not dry while you work with one ball at a time. Now to roll this, you can use aluminum foil paper, but it's always advisable and better if you can use a parchment paper. And I'm using the slip mat. So I'm just going to dust a little bit of flour and sprinkle a little flour on the top. And you're just going to roll this gently because this dough is very soft, so you don't want it to tear. So you're just going to go as gently as you can. Now you can do any shape that you want. You can do any size that you want, rectangle, triangle, however you like it. Now I use my saucepan lid, which is 8-inch round. And that's it. And then we're going to poke some holes with the fork so that it does not puff up while baking. All right. And then just remove the sides. We're going to use this later. Now you bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 176, for about 7 to 8 minutes. So I'm just going to slip it into the tray. Now, if you have a bigger tray, you can do 2 at a time, like the way I did. And once they're done, of course, one after the other, you're just going to place them on top of each other. And they smell deliciously. You can smell the honey. And it's so nice during the holidays when you get those aromas, the warmth aromas when it's cold. It's just beautiful. All right, so once we're done, Now these ones are the extras. You can put them in a sandwich bag and smash them, or you can use a food processor if you have one. And you're just going to make some nice fine crumbs. Now for the filling, I'm using heavy whipping cream and caramel. Make sure that your cream is cold, and you can add any amount of caramel that you want. You don't have to use caramel. I like to use caramel, salted caramel, that's perfect. And we're just going to whip this. I also added a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of cinnamon powder. And I just whipped it for about less than 5 minutes. Okay, now you don't have to use a cake board. You can use plate directly. And I'm just going to put the cream on top. Now, you don't have to use a heavy whipping cream. There are a lot of variations for this, and this is what's going to make your honey cake different from mine or anybody else. Based on the filling that you're going to use, you can use pastry cream, you can use Bavarian cream, you can mix sour cream and heavy cream, you can use chocolate, whatever you want to use. Okay, just make it your own. So I'm using about 2 tablespoons for each layer, but you can do more if you want to, that's fine. So for the heavy cream, I used about 2 cups. Then place until I finished all of them, which are 8. And then that's it. You're just gonna, it doesn't have to look, so neat. Just gonna remove the extras. And then I'm using my bench scraper. And that's it. It's very simple. It's very simple to put it together. I know it's time consuming, but it's worth it. All right. And I was trying to put the crumbs, but unfortunately I did not adjust the camera level, so you can barely see me, but I hope you got an idea on how to do it. Just like that. And then after that, keep it in the fridge for about 6 hours, or maybe overnight if you want to, or if you can rather. So this is after 6 hours. Actually, I wanted to keep it longer, but my kids were so anxious because, it smells so beautiful. And this tastes like the honey-made crackers, graham crackers. It tastes something along those lines, if this is your first time. So I'm just letting you know. And that's about it. See how beautiful this looks. So thank you so much. For more recipes, please visit me at Aroma of Zanzibar, and you'll find all the ingredients and measurements in the description box below and on this page.